Grand Rising.
What's going on?
Same here, different choices.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. How's your day going? How you feeling this morning?
I'm good. No complaints. I'm chilling. Yeah.
Great. Same here.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
You say that every week.
I do. I am excited. I'm excited to hear your stories. Get to know some things that I don't know.
You learned something new last night.
Right?
So when we went to visit the joint, you learned something new. But I look forward to hearing that stuff too.
Yeah.
What really shaped us? Because even as friends, sometimes you don't sit and just go deep. Like, you talk and we talk about things as they come up. But you don't just tell me your story.
We're not
interviewing like a weird joint. You know what I'm saying? That's just
I want to know.
Like that. Just so y'all know, this whole podcast idea was Mahagony's idea. She likes talking more than me, right? And she don't mind sharing and stuff too. But one thing is that I can have good conversation with her, so I don't mind doing it. But yeah, you the talker. But I talk to you.
The funniest thing is that most people, until seeing me in this space, wouldn't know that. Because you're not talking to my people. I don't talk anywhere.
Do they know how silly you are too?
They don't know that.
They don't know that.
People think I'm mad serious.
You are serious, but you ass.
Yo, Monty be saying yo, if they only knew. I'm like, that ain't their business. I'm Mahagony.
I'm Ish.
And this is Culture Currency.
But culture
is the value. So today I am interviewing Aisha. I think it's dope, first off, for the audience to get an opportunity to know who she is, as well as get an opportunity to see the compare and contrast of what the culture has created within her, and how those things show up in the world. So that's the interview that we're gonna do today. Are you nervous?
A little bit. I wrote some stuff down on paper because there's certain things about my life I didn't want to forget. And when you go back to the 80s and all that, you can forget.
Yeah.
You can forget. So
I did that too.
Okay.
So I want to start with your childhood. Growing up, where you from?
I'm from the South Bronx. I'm from Sherman Avenue. Most people know me from Clay Avenue because that's where my family is and the larger part of my upbringing is, but I'm from Sherman Avenue. So I would say Sherman and Clay. Yeah.
Okay. So the South Bronx.
South Bronx, yep.
And your era is what?
The 80s. I was born in 1981.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I was here. I was here. So what was the Bronx, from your experience, what was it like growing up in the Bronx in the early 80s?
So it was... I just remember fun in a lot of family. My family is huge. I have 9 siblings, so altogether it's 10 of us, but one that passed away, rest in peace, Terry, one of my oldest brothers, and a bunch of aunts, a bunch of cousins. And I'm like, I have 4 cousins. Like I can't count them. You know what I mean? So it was just always family, fun, parties, get-togethers. We were each other's community.
Nice.
And on my block, on Sherman in particular, that was a family too. We had our own culture there. We had play streets, me and my friends, when we get our bikes, we would take pack our lunch and take little bike rides. First time I saw a hooker behind Yankee Stadium. So we used to ride by back there, see the hooker. I was like, oh, and they dresses fly up. I'm like, that little, like 8, 9. So we had our own sports teams on the block. I never played with the girls ever. I used to make fun of them, like, hey, get my and they chairs and all that. But I was on not the basketball teams. I was on the football teams and the baseball teams on the block. I wasn't really good at none of those sports, but I was still part of those teams because I, related to them, climbing the gates with the boys, just doing stuff, being on the roofs with them, and that was what little tomboy.
That's funny.
Growing up, So it was just a lot of fun, and then I spent a lot of time in Harlem. So I was born in the Bronx, but a lot of me was like I was brought up and raised in Harlem. My mother worked at the bathhouse on 135th.
Okay.
So we used to be there all the time. We went to summer programs there. I got a bunch of family in foster projects. I used to live on 123rd with my dad. So between the South Bronx and Harlem, that's where that's my upbringing. Yeah, that's what crafted me. Home life was pretty cool. It was good to have a sibling that was close in age, because all of my ideas, he was able to help me with them. Like I told you about, like the newspaper routes. I would go pick up the papers, but he helped me deliver them. The Kool-Aid stands, he would, be there with me selling this stuff. And but there was a lot of other things in the house that I wasn't supposed to be exposed to. You know what I mean? And the dangers of that is that when I fell on hard times, illegal activity became an option. You know what I'm saying? It was an option for me because I was exposed to it. And it was like, all right, this is what we do. You know what I mean? We get money.
Figure it out.
Yeah, we figure it out. We're gonna make it happen. Try to survive. So there was a lot of healthy things going on, but then there are a lot of things that we shouldn't have been exposed to. But that's just indicative of what was going on in the inner city community. Period. Folks had to strive to survive. And all of the people that were doing that, like, look how brilliant my father is. Look at the responsible, strong man my brother is. Look at my uncles that were also doing time with my dad and all of that. They were all like amazing men, but it's just, this is the time we grew up in. These are the opportunities for us. These are the ways for us to really take care of huge families, and it's what a lot of us fell victim to. You know what I mean? But one thing my mother always said is, what happens in this house, stay in this house. You know what I mean? So unless I'm rapping, there's a lot of stuff I'm not even gonna say. Because rapping will make it cool to say, and the drugs in the hammer, pop, pop. You know what I'm saying? Drugs in the hammer, pop. I ain't rapping, so I ain't. So I'm not even about to say a bunch of shit. Yo, you are silly. I'll be trying to be serious sometimes, and you make it.
I ain't do nothing.
And you be making it like word. Yeah.
That's mad funny. You don't even know how funny that was. It's crazy.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I know early '80s was a mother in New York City. Crack epidemic hit. It was a time.
Yeah.
It was a time, and there's this balance of, the beauty of community and the opposite.
Yeah.
Tell me about a negative memory attached to growing up in the 80s.
Man, so aside of the fun, it was a lot of drug selling, drug abuse, murders, things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? So at a young age, seeing bodies, you know what I mean, or just hearing, about the horrific incidents and hearing the adults talking about it, or seeing crack vials on the floor and all of those kind of things, or see people nodding out everywhere, and we're seeing friends that's just filthy. You know what I'm saying? Because their parents fell victim to what's going on outside. So that's unfortunately part of our upbringing. Also, friends that's hungry, and me and my brother feeding them. Like we on punishment, but we sending them food downstairs with a plastic bag and string, like sending them grilled cheese sandwiches and shit like that. Or when we had money and we would go shopping, we would take our friends with us and get them something, stuff like that. So
always been a giver.
Yeah, always been a giver, and always been a giver. Not always one resources so I could give.
That's
you know what I'm saying.
That's
so
dope.
Yeah.
So how did that affect you? Because there's a level of balance you sound like you had. You know what I mean? You had community in your home. You had community outside your home.
Yeah.
But outside your home was the ugly reality.
Right.
How did that affect you?
Honestly, I don't know. Because when people ask about, for example, my father went to prison when I was 6. Came home when I was 14, and then my oldest brother went to prison when I was 11. He came home when I was in my 21, and I never really sat up on and thought about or worked through how those things impacted me. But I just know the importance of those relationships. I remember the devastation losing my brother, because I was 11 at the time, so we were more attached to our emotions and attached to him. He used to pick us up every day for school. He used to be there while we were doing our homework. He used to make fun of my big feet until I cried. So, so him not being there, it was definitely an impact. But what I loved about what my mother did and what my stepmom did and my grandmothers is make sure we stay connected to them. So we were able to visit them in prison. We had the phone calls. My dad would help me with homework over the phone, and he helped me write my papers and sending me stuff and all of that. I had a performance at the Apollo. My brother had one of his friends help me write my lyrics for that, and suggest the correct Mac beat or send gifts for, Christmas and stuff. So they were still about their business and being as present as they could be. So that's probably why I never looked for the heartbreak in it, because that's just not what I was connected to. You know what I'm saying? So for me saying I don't know, I do know. And the support was there as much as it could be, but when they both came home, it didn't feel like a void and they didn't feel like strangers.
That's dope. That's real dope.
Mm-hmm.
That's real dope. That's dope that you had such insulation, and it's dope that your mindset wasn't focused on the lack, but focused on the abundance.
Yep. Well, the one lack though, but seeing both of them going financially, things did get tougher. And we moved down south. We went to Savannah, Georgia, and I noticed my sneaker collection, getting a little low. So that was the indication to me, like, yeah, things are getting a little tight around here, And so I went to high school in Savannah for my first 2 years, and then when my dad came home, we moved back.
Okay.
And that's when I was in Harlem with him and all that at 14, and that's when a lot of my life was Harlem at the time.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Nice. Do you wanna share maybe a funny story of how things operated with you and your brothers and sisters in the crib?
Oh my God, it's so many stories. I don't know. I remember my one of my youngest brothers, El Son. It's 9 of us, but my mother had 3 of the 10. So it was me and El. That's who grew up in the house together. And then I got Raheem, Rashad, Shayna, the other El, Joshua, Chico, and Terry. But for El, so me and El, we spent the most time together because we're only 16 months apart. I think I got that right, because every time I say how much we're apart, he corrects me. He's always doing something. They used to call him Curious George and Father. Yeah. So I remember one day he made a slingshot. Watching TV, probably Dennis the Menace did it. And he put Vaseline on his hand. He had a rubber band and a pencil. And what was so I don't know, but I was like, and he was pointing it at me. I was like, yo, El, stop pointing that at me, like, for real. He's like, nothing's gonna happen. It's not gonna stay long. So, pow, bust me in the head. No. Right, so I had the knot right away. You know how the speed knot? I chased him through that house. Yo, he locked himself in my mother's room. He did not come out until she came home from work. He was all dusty. He was all dusty and all that, came from under the bed, but he always did shit like that. I remember one day walking in the room and a thing of nails fell on my head. Like, he had a bucket like over the door light, and that he was always
nails.
Yes, he was always doing something.
Do that, but not with nails.
Yeah, like he was dangerous. Yeah, he was different. He would bring iguanas in the house that they camouflage and different stuff. So we have all kinds of different animals in the house, and he was But that was anything crazy was him.
Having so many siblings, having such a community in your household, how did it craft your understanding of what community is supposed to look like?
There's one thing I learned about the work that I'm doing is that like your way is one way, so like I was under the assumption that this was what family looked like and what community looked like. Family has been my community. My blood family has been my community, has been my friends. And then outside of that, I can count my friends on one hand. You know what I mean? So to me, community meant loyalty, it meant love, togetherness, looking out for each other. And never had the thing of every man for themselves. It's like we're here for each other. When one don't have it, the other does, and we never see each other down. We look out for each other. So that's been my understanding of that. Yeah,
that's dope.
Yeah, that's been my understanding.
That's dope.
Yeah.
So obviously, you're a gay woman.
Why you say that?
Right? I thought that's not what it is. How was it growing up as a gay young person in the 80s?
Well, I didn't know I was gay in the 80s, so maybe I wasn't. I don't know. I didn't even think about gay or nothing like that. I came out when I was 16, and I was actually in Savannah, Georgia. Actually, no. Yeah. Well, sort of. It's that same year. What was it like?
Before you go into that, since you said you didn't know, what brought on the knowing?
My attraction.
Okay.
I remember in 8th grade, one of my friends, brown skin, short haircut, and I love brown skin, short haircuts to this day. A lot of hair and all that. I don't really care about that because I had a lot of hair, so I was like, whatever. So, but short hair, brown skin, and I remember being like, I was looking at her different, like, yo, she look alright, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, girls, because I damn sure think she is gorgeous, you know, like looking at her different, like how I'm supposed to look at boys, but I'm looking at her like that. And that was my first inkling that I might like girls. And I remember talking to my best friend at the time, Charmaine, and I told her, and she was like, well, as long as you ain't looking at me, I was like, I ain't looking at you, like.
Everybody always do that.
I was about to say something, but I don't want to offend people because that's how you go.
Straight women always
like, Charmaine, like please. Like, so I remember, get over yourself. I'm not looking at you. I would have looked at you then. Obviously, I'm telling you who I looked at. Yeah, so that was so just looking at my attraction and then just paying attention to it and seeing what I was mostly attracted to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was it like once you come to the conclusion that, you know, you had an attraction in that area? What was it like dealing with that at that time?
It was a bit of a struggle. Especially being down south and being light skinned with long hair, that meant something. So it'll be a lot of, like, I'll come outside as boys on a goddamn stoop waiting to talk to me and stuff like that. And then I had issues with girls because they think I like their boyfriend. I have no interest. And I'm like, yo, oh my God. I'm like, I want him to leave. You know what I'm saying? Like, he keep coming over here. Like, you know, stuff like that. So it was kind of the oddball out until I met someone who actually ended up being a friend of mine. Janine, she was my first girlfriend in high school. And then I got to see the kind of girls I liked and didn't like. Because first it sounded like she was wearing tight clothes, and then we was both on the basketball team, and she started wearing baggy stuff and all that. And I'm like, I don't like that. So that was over. That I'm like, okay, I don't like that. So I really got to know my attraction. So having Janine was big for me because we were able to be there for each other. You know, and I still did, like, I remember that I had a boyfriend down south. Like, I tried to see, you know, if I liked, but every time he tried to kiss me, I would say I'm sick. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. Like, I don't feel good or da-da-da. And it's like, okay, so this is not a thing.
I love that you're sharing that.
Yeah.
Because people need, like, they have these preconceived notions of what that process is like if they're not a part of that process, if they're not in the life.
Right.
So it's really, it shows, like, it is an actual process.
It is a process to figure out what the hell is going on. And then one of my aunt, she, her girlfriend, now I was really cool with, my auntie, her girl, me and her got cool, and I was able to talk to her about it, about what I was going through and stuff like that. And she was like, just take your time and don't, you know, push yourself on people. Don't just get to know yourself and get to know don't want to just get to, you know. So I had an adult to talk to, because one thing my mother always said, if you can't talk to me, find a trusted adult. So I trusted her, so I talked to her. And when I was down south, I used to write her letters and tell her what was going on with me.
That's dope. It's dope that you had, you always had community.
Yeah, always had community. I really did. I've been so blessed with that.
Yeah, that's
so blessed with that.
Blessing.
Yeah, it really
that's
is.
An absolute blessing.
Yeah.
Because those is really tough times.
Yeah.
Not from a standpoint of like, oh, the world is falling apart.
Right.
But like, it's confusing.
Yeah.
It's like you need something to hold on to, and if you don't have anyone to give you any type of footing, it could be real. It could be a really lonely and uncomfortable thing.
I also had quite a few people in my family that were gay, which is not ordinary. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4, like 4 or 5 female family members. So all of the hardships and coming out and dealing with the family anger, they did that about 20 years ago.
Yeah, they cushioned it for
me. Yeah, they cushioned it for me. You know what I'm saying? So they done got in trouble and beat up and all whatever they had to go through. They did that. Me, and you know, it was like, all right, so each gay too. You know what I'm saying? But it was hard coming out. It was hard coming out to my mom. It was the toughest.
What made it hard for you to come out to her?
Well, I wasn't ready. I was forced.
Okay.
So, my aunt died. Rest in peace, aunt died. I love you. Rest in peace, aunt died. We were staying with her at the time because we just moved from down south. I think my mom was staying with her at the time. We just moved back from down south, trying to find a place to live and all that. And I happened to come upstairs, and she was literally in the middle of telling my mother. I just happened to walk in the house in her room to see her, and she was like, "You gotta tell her." And I'm like, "What the? How I walk into that?"
Why did she?
I guess she felt like it was time.
That's crazy.
Yeah, she took upon herself to do that. So then she was like, "Go talk to your mother." I'm like, "Wow, this is crazy."
No preparation.
No preparation.
Just had to rip the band-aid.
So we went to the room and we had to. We were sitting there. It felt like hours.
It was probably 5
It
minutes.
probably was 15 minutes. I feel like we was there for 2-3 hours, like sitting there. And I was like just saying to myself, how am I gonna say it? So I said, I didn't want to say mom gay. Mom, I was like, oh, that's hard shit, whatever. I didn't know what to say. So I said, I don't like boys. She said, all right, but I'll remind you of this conversation in 10 years from now.
She thought it was a phase.
She thought it was a phase. And then that was that. But I could tell she had an attitude. She didn't like it because when I was trying to introduce her to girls, like, I want to meet them, and she ain't like that. But my dad embraced and supported me right away. And it could be because of how much time he lost with me, where he's not willing to have that kind of rift with me. He was in jail for like 9-10 years. You know what I'm saying?
He's dealing with nobody got time.
Yeah, he's not losing no time with his baby girl. So he actually went with me to meet the woman that I was dating at the time. It was a grown woman, older than me, about 6-7 years older than me, and he went to meet her. I think I was 17, she was 23, and just so he could understand what's going on and really be in the know. Then he started asking questions about friends. I was like, well, we were actually dating. He was like, your friend, it's because you're gay? I said, no, we was dating. You know what I mean? So I was able to talk to him, and so that's how that went.
Wow.
But now everything is all good. My mother loved me, love my girl, love who I love.
That's usually how
all that. Everything is all good. But yeah.
This is dope. I'm learning a lot.
Yeah,
I'm learning a lot. How does all of who you are lend to your value within the culture?
Wow, that's a great question. How does all of who I am lend my value to the culture? I know I'm saying like, wow, like I didn't see the question before, but having to answer it right now, it's like still the great. I just thought it was such a great question. I'm like that when I see movies already. I see a movie and I'll be watching it for the third time, like what? I can't. Oh my god! I'll be bugging out. Like, Ish, you've seen it 7 times.
It's all right, the first time.
Yeah, the first 51st dates. All right, so I mean, having a conversation like this really brings it all together when you got to tell your story like that. Because even when I have to tell my story in Dream, it still has to be cut short because it's about Dream, not me. A little bit about me, the rest about the organization. So having to tell my full story like this, I would say, wow, like just my different experiences is the value I bring is I'm an educator. You know what I mean? And the support that I received all the way through, I'm very clear about it. And my goal is to give young people as much support as possible. With that's within the blessing or the calling that God gave to me. So I'm a stark believer in conflict resolution because I experienced so much violence outside, man. It's so much, and then also today with our kids, that what they're going through. You know what I mean? And losing their friends or being involved in violence and thinking that's the way. It's sad. So being somebody who's trying to prevent those things from happening and mitigate the levels of youth violence. I understand the importance of arts programs and having those kind of communities because I had that as well with the Harlem Children's Zone, Rise and Shine, and all of these places, Taft High School. I had all of those supports, so bringing those supports to those places for young people, so after school programs, I'm working in the schools. So all the things that work for me, I'm just trying to give that back because it worked for me, and it can work for other people, for other kids.
So that's really what gave you the blueprint.
My life gave me the blueprint for others.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Yep.
So You kind of said it within that, but I want to hear you, answer it in this way. How did you discover your purpose?
I think it was scaffolded. It was just through life, and when presented with that question, it gave me a chance to really think about it. And for one is I think my purpose, part of it is genetic, because my father is an educator, a program designer, a community leader. My grandparents were. My grandfather had a church, a small church. He was a preacher, and he also had a radio show. And my grandmother would write his sermons. My Aunt Brenda, who I brought up in another thing, a bunch of years clean, and now she speaks all over the country about sobriety and her story and all of that kind of stuff. So just being a person that educates and cares about community, it comes to me innately. That's one. But then again, Sherman Avenue, I had a Kool-Aid stand and a newspaper route on my block. And L was my employee. I didn't want to pay him. I was a slum employee. My mother got on me. She said, "I'll take all your money. All that running around he doing with you, you better give him." I had mad quarters. I was like, "Yeah, baby, I made it." And I didn't want to pay him nothing. And he was rocking with me every day. So my mother told me about fair wages. Savannah High School, I was in a media class. So I discovered my love for video production. And remember, I was a video production teaching artist. And Taft High School, I was in, I had a history class that included drama. And Laura Burrell was my board chair now, taught it there. And that's my first time meeting her. So now arts integrated with the education experience was a passion for me from that. And then being part of Truce, which was part of Harlem Children's Zone, I was a student, I was a staff, I was a program coordinator, video, I was so many things there. I even got fired from there. And that taught me, like, take things serious. I take professional relationships serious, even if it's friends. And I learned that from Laura, because as much as she loved me, she had to let me go because I started slacking. And when she brought me in and talked about me slacking, I was late to that.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? So she
always had a problem with time.
I always had a problem with time. You know what I'm saying? So boom, that's my mother fault. Sure, now you 40, so much your mother fault. You got to stop one day. So and then Lynn, I got to give it up to Lynn, because that's who brought restorative practices and conflict resolution in my life. So then I was able to merge my Truce, Harlem Children's Taft arts to conflict resolution. And yeah, so then, all of that, and then all of those things became Aisha Norris.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yep.
That's dope. And now hearing the entirety of your story, it all makes sense. Like, to see who you are today,
right?
All of it, all of the little pieces coming together,
right?
Makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great knowing you. It's always funny to me. Like, you can know you can be acquainted with someone for a lot of years, but not know the majority of who they are
and why. And why? Yeah. I look forward to interviewing you.
Yeah, I look forward. I look forward to it too.
Yeah.
Well, all of the things that you've been through and experienced, what would you do differently, and what advice would you give to others?
I appreciate that question. I really appreciate it, because one thing is, I would like to talk about, like, the negative experiences growing up, incarceration, and be intentional about what we teach our children. So one thing about incarceration, I would say, holler at your people and stay connected. You know what I'm saying? When your people, are in prison, especially if they're positive folks that brought stuff to your life, prison shouldn't pause the connection. I know it can be expensive, it can be inconvenient, but those letters of support are important. And even and especially if it's impacting young people, for me, I needed the letters, I needed the visits, I needed those phone calls that kept me connected to my brother and my dad. Like I said, when they came home, they weren't strangers. We maintained that connection, and we are that closer than ever. I think by the time I turned 18, I started going to see my brother myself. You know what I'm saying? So, like, those things are really important. And then some negative experiences. Be intentional and conscious about what you're exposing your children to. Because everything that children see becomes part of their recording. So then it becomes part of their toolbox of things that they pull from. and whether they like it or not, or my kid is not that kind of kid. Every kid is any kind of kid when they're exposed to when they're exposed to certain things, because at a young age they're malleable, they're easily manipulated, you know. So just know everything you're showing your child becomes an option for them, becomes part of their recording, and it becomes part of their decision making, where they pull that information from, and it impacts families for generations. Because if I think this is okay, then because you thought it was okay, mom and dad, then I'm passing it down to my kids, and it affects us for generations. So be intentional about what you're exposing your kids to, and feed your child's aspirations. I feel like if my mom wasn't a single mom, I would have kept on with my small businesses. You know, she supported me as I was doing it, but the days I didn't, I don't remember her saying, "You're not gonna do your thing today," and those kind of things would have helped. But she don't have time to think about that. She's trying to make sure we good. You know, so the reason why it's important to feed your child's aspirations is because with lack of direction, you can end up anywhere, and you really don't want your children's goals to be getting money. That's dangerous, because there's so many options to get money. You know what I mean? So, and anything can make a dollar. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, help set their direction in motion. You know, so if you have dancers, if you have artists, if you have entrepreneurs, whatever your child is into, help build that up. Help it, like you did just with the braiding. You know what I mean? She done nice with the braid. She believes in herself. You know what I mean? It's really important to build those things up in your children to help, because a life with passion is such a fruitful life. A life without passion can be miserable, especially when you get to your 40s and 50s and haven't figured out what it is that you actually love to do. And it starts as a kid. And the last thing that I would say is give affirmations. You know, let your children know how you feel about them, how you love them, how great they are. And even, you know, when they mess up, okay, but when they do right, give them their big ups. Don't just tell your friends, "My child is awesome." Tell them that they're awesome. Absolutely. It's really important.
Absolutely. Yes. Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm Mahogony.
I'm Ish.
And this is Culture Currency.
Where culture
is the value.
Make sure to like, subscribe,
comment, share.
Peace.